All right, I'm going to quickly go over the answers to this here before I have to go to hall duty. So anyway, so making this graph, remember that when this 2 is mixed in here, this is not the phase shift. So 2 sine, you have to pull out this 2 right here. And so that means you're going to have to divide these both by 2. So this becomes x minus pi over 2. Just like when you factor, like when you factor a 3x minus 12, right? You divide both of them by 3, and you put the 3 out front, right? That's kind of what we're doing here. All right, so I got my midline at 3, and I'm going to go 2 above and 2 below. So I'm just going to draw like one cycle, because I'm trying to go kind of quick here. So my amplitude is 2, my reflection, no. Midline is y equals 3. Period is 2 pi over this 2 right here. The period is pi. And phase shift, yes, it's going to the right by pi over 2. Or you can just put positive pi over 2, I guess. All right, so I would have done a sine graph between here and here because my period is pi. But I have to move to the right pi over 2. So I'm going to move here to here. So there's the end, there's the beginning, here's the middle. I make sure that I go up there to there, and then down here to there. Oh, that's a little ugly. But anyway, you would just like keep that cycle going. Okay. All right, here. You're trying to evaluate this function. So it's the same function here. So I'm plugging 7 pi over 6 right there. So make sure you get 2 sine. You get 2 times 7 pi over 6 plus 3. Oops, I'm sorry. I kind of skipped the other part. Minus pi plus 3, right? So look, 2 times 7 pi over 6. This cancels to a 3. So now in here, I have 7 pi over 3 minus pi. Well, pi is 3/3 pi, so I got 7 pi over 3 minus 3 pi over 3. I've got to get a common denominator. So it's 4 pi over 3. So what I'm left doing is 2 sine of 4 pi over 3, and then plus 3. All right, so in your test, you get to have a little unit circle. So sine of 4 pi over 3 is negative radical 3 over 2. So this is 2 times negative radical 3 over 2 plus 3. 2's go away. So I get negative radical 3 plus 3. So it's giving me a coordinate on a graph, right? It's giving me 7 pi over 6 is this thing right here. So that if you put that in your calculator, it comes out to about 1.3. Okay, so that's a point on the graph. So look, 7 pi over 6 is a little bit past 180. It's a third of the way to 3 pi over 2. So if I go a third of the way to 3 pi over 2, like right there, and look right there, my answer is 1.3 about. Okay, so it should match up to something on your picture. All right, down here, let's see, phase shift, I got left or negative pi over 4. Period is still pi because no change to it. Midline is y equals negative 2. Reflection, yes. Amplitude, there's no change, so no change there. So my asymptotes, my normal asymptotes are x plus pi over 4 are going to be, my normal asymptotes are pi over 2 and negative pi over 2, and this is going to change them. So I have to subtract pi over 4. So if I take away pi over 4 from pi over 2, if I have a half minus a fourth, that's a fourth, so pi over 4. I have negative a half and take away a fourth, that's negative 3/4. So there's my first two asymptotes. So pi over 4 is right here, and negative 3 pi over 4, so right there. So there's my first two asymptotes, and I just have to make sure I go down to my midline of negative 2. So here's my middle, and I reflect. So right in the middle of that area, so let's see, what do I have? So right in the middle of this area is right there. And I just have to go backwards, so right like that. Okay, and then you'd repeat it across the whole way. So let's check and see. I'm supposed to plug in pi, so I'm not going to see that here. So I'm just going to have to imagine that the other graph is like there. So just imagine with me in a minute. So I'm going to put pi right here. So I'm getting pi plus pi over 4. So 1 plus 1/4 is 1 1/4, or 5/4. So I have negative tangent of 5 pi over 4 and minus 2. So tangent of 5 pi over 4 is positive 1. So I have, this is a 1 with a negative and then minus 2. So I should be at negative 3. So that's telling me that 5 pi should be about -3, so about there. So I guess my graph's a little bit off, right? Like you'll have the perfect graph here, but basically I think you're crossing like right there, and so then you're kind of coming down like that, right? Okay. Anyway, you should be able to see it on your picture. Okay, last graphing part right here. Let's see. Reflection, yes, because that negative, amplitude's 4, midline is 1. Period is 2 pi over 1/3, the number in front there. So that's 6 pi. Phase shift, none. Okay, so let's see. Midline is 1, 4 above, 4 below, 4. There we go. Okay, so normally cosine would start at its high point, but now it's going to start at its low point because of the, what's it called, because of the shifting. Now, that's going to be the beginning, and I would end it 6 pi later. So look, 6 pi would be like, you know, double the space, so it would be like over here. So remember, cosine is going to have to come up and go down. So at 3 pi, halfway, I'm at my high point. That means that in between these two places, at 3 pi over 2, I'm at my middle. My middle is right there. So the only part of the graph I'm going to see is like it's going to come here, and this goes up there, and I would keep going to there, but I don't have the space. So then over here, basically all we're doing is like kind of coming over like that, right? Okay. All right, so there we go. And find h of pi over 2. So if I put pi over 2 in there, so I got h of pi over 2, 1 minus 4 cosine. So if I put pi over 2 in here, so I got pi over 2 over 3. So that's pi over 2 divided by 3. That's pi over 2 times 1/3. So it's pi over 6. So cosine of pi over 6 is radical 3 over 2. So 1 minus 4 times radical 3 over 2. This cancels to a 2. So that's 1 minus 2 radical 3. Okay, so if you put that in your calculator and you go to pi over 2, so 1 minus 2 radical 3 should be about -2 point something, because we're plugging in pi over 2. Okay, all right, so here we go. So these pictures, I'm always going to be like drawing my own little graph, right? This is my time, this is my height. All right, the blades of a fan rotate clockwise, 5 rotations every second. There's my period right there. 5 rotations every second means it takes 1/5 of a second to do 1 rotation. So my period is 1/5 of a second. So that is 0.2. So 0.2. So that means halfway is 0.1. It means half of that is 0.05. So that's what I'm going by. So this must be, you know, 0.05 plus 0.05 is 0.1. 0.1 plus 0.05 is 0.15, and then to 2. Okay, now for the heights, let's see. B is on the tip of the fan blades. That's where you are at time 0. So we're at our highest point at time 0. So I'll be at my highest spot. But where is that? Point B is 6 inches from the center. So that's 6. So this must be another 6. The center of the fan is 20 inches above the table. And this is 20. So that means that this part must be 14. So my low that point B is going to get is 14. My high is going to be 14 or 26, like 20 plus 6, so 26. So directly in between that would be 14 plus 6, so 20. And look, they're 6 apart. My amplitude is 6. So frankly, I know that that number is a 6. Okay. All right, and the center line is 20. Okay. The period is 0.2. So 2 pi over b has to equal 0.2. So 2 pi equals 0.2 b. So that means that b is 2 pi over 0.2. All right, so now look, I'm just going to do some little fancy math here. 2 pi divided by 0.2 is 1/5 equals b. You could use your calculator if you had to. But anyway, so you get 10 pi is b. Okay. All right, we just need to find our c value in a minute. Okay, so my graph starts here. It's going to end up here. The center is going to be my low point. That means I'm here and here. All right, so I've made it kind of easy for you. This is point F, G, J, K, and P. Okay, And be able to answer these questions like, this part's increasing, and it's positive because it's above the x-axis, or it's concave down, so the slopes are decreasing, that kind of stuff. There's those kinds of questions on there, but this is just this little part. And let's see. So there's your points. I'm asking for a sine graph though. So if you're going to start a sine function, you could come all the way over here. So move to the right by 0.15 and then start your sine graph, right? So that's one way to do it, to have c be minus 0.15. So that would leave your equation h of t equals 6 sine, let's see, b is 10 pi, so 10 pi x minus 0.15, and then plus 20. That's one equation. Now, you could do a couple different things. You could tell me, hey, I'm only going to move over here, so that number could be 0.05, but then it has to go down first, so you put a negative. So if you want this to be 0.05 and that be a negative 6, that's fine too. Or you could find the point back here, all right? You could come back to negative 0.05 and then start your sine function. So this could be plus 0.05 right here. Okay, so there's like infinite number of answers you could have there. This is just mine. I decided, oh, the sine graph could start here and go from there. Okay, and that's it. Bye-bye.